Good morning, everyone. My name is Lebron, and we're representing the marketing Logix team with our lovely sponsor, TISA Online. So I'm going to dive right in. For the next 20 minutes, what are we doing? We'll go through introductions, we'll talk about our product molecule, and then we actually jump right into our solution. We have 3 pieces to the solution, so we'll talk through that in detail. And then we'll tell you how 2 chefs over here created this sandwich. We'll go through how we got here. We work in an iterative fashion, so we'll make sure we kind of call out what we did through every sprint, what the key outcomes were, and some key considerations will come towards the end. Having said that, TISA, we saw you earlier. If you could just come off mute and give us a quick intro.
Absolutely. So nice to meet you all. I'm TISA Richards. I'm a former software CEO and founder. I've raised a lot of money and scaled software companies. Got really burned out on that, and now I run a leadership development company where I work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and mostly in the C-suite. And I'm really excited to be here with this team, so thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, TISA. In the interest of time, we'll move forward. So your project team, before I give it over to more for the intro, I just want to call out, obviously we're just 2 people, so we had specific roles, but we also wore different hats over the course of the 6 sprints or so just note that. And with that, I'll let Amora give a quick intro.
Thanks, Jabron. Hey everyone, my name is Amora Whitney. At work, I'm a Scrum Master, and in this project as well, I'm a Scrum Master. The industry I work in is technology consulting, and I specialize in agile, cloud, data analytics, product management, and one of my hobbies is sports analytics as well.
Awesome, thanks. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jabron. I also work in the consulting space. Focus predominantly on product management, M&A work, and tech strategy. Fun fact is I love jumping out of planes. I've jumped out of a plane 8 times or so. So moving on, we talked about the product molecule and then our solution. So TISA kind of gave you a quick overview of what she does. She's a very successful business owner, and she's had a very good problem in the sense that her demand is so high because her work quality is so great, and that's where we come into the key problems. There's only one TISA, so we need to be able to maintain that quality, but also scale, and eventually also maximize our revenue potential. So how do we do that? We'll dive right into our solution. There are 3 pieces to this puzzle. I'll start off with the business model, one of the most important. We looked at her current operations, the way she was functioning, the market, and then we devised, through a lot of research analysis and iterating, 2 business models. One you'll see is a certification or coaching model. The other is TISA as a brand model. I'll talk about that in more details in the next slide. But to go with that, as one of the earlier presenters mentioned, you have to have numbers that back it up. So we created a financial model, completely revamped it and looked at it from a 2-year financial planning viewpoint, and also did some analysis on different salary or independent contractor models. And then lastly, these 2 pieces are great, but it doesn't really help TISA if we don't tell her kind of how to get there. So we created a robust implementation plan or roadmap that calls out at a high level what we think are the logical steps to work through to be able to kind of realize this new business model and financial model. If there are no questions, I'll keep going. All right, so a little bit of a boring slide, but I'll do my best to make it fun and interactive. The certification coaching model really functions as firm or a coaching firm that TISA will operate. You'll have different levels just as you do at any firm, whether it's a consulting firm or a corporate firm, where you have analysts, you have managers, you have directors. In this case, TISA will have folks at silver level, silver certification level, gold and diamond, and what that dictates is the rigorous aspect of the curriculum, also the hours of training that they'll take on when she brings in the new coaches, but also the level of client-facing time that they'll have, the new coaches will have with TISA's clients that she has right now, and hopefully even new clients that they bring on. And then the other aspect over here, or the other model, is TISA as a brand model. This really looks at taking TISA's current plan and the way she operates and scaling using different technologies like AI for more content creation, and also tapping different avenues like social media and also different clientele markets. Right now she's been doing really well in the executive space, but based on some of the research that we've done, which we'll show you in a second, there are also different markets like the social media influencer market and other non-executive folks that TISA could tap into. Some of y'all might be wondering why either or. And we'll talk about that in a second because we learned through our iterative process that we could actually have both. And we'll talk about that once we get through the sprint models. I'll quickly talk about the financial model and then pass it over to Maura. So you can see some general kind of details over here. That's mainly because a lot of the financial data is sensitive, so we can't share that. But I want to call out two things on this slide. One is even if TISA takes a conservative approach with hiring independent contractors or new coaches that she brings in on the salary model, we're projecting double-digit growth, anywhere from as low as 18, which is significantly high, to 60%, which is great. And the other key aspect I do want to call out is, again, no matter how conservative or aggressive TISA goes, by year 2, we're going to ensure that she breaks even, which is big. Now with that, I'm sure you have questions around how the business models actually work. So I'll let Amora talk through 2 key personas.
Thanks, Jabron. So we created 2 key personas. One is going to be more internally, and then the other one is going to be externally. The first one is going to be the internal persona, and his name is Cameron William. He is a senior manager at a Big 4. He has 10 years of experience, and he's seeking a promotion from a senior manager to a director at his consulting firm. Our second persona is Yuki-sen. She is a recent graduate. She has little to no experience, and she is seeking a job or looking to go into the certification program and mentoring coaching space. So I created a storyboard to basically streamline better and create a visual to just like understand like each persona and go more into depth. So for the first persona, like I said, Cameron Williams, he is just interested and he really wants to get that promotion this year. He's up for it. So he realizes that to do that, he needs to work on his personal branding and communication better. So he looks at executive level coaching to pursue that promotion. So he finds TISA's program and he looks at the testimonials and he realizes that this is the perfect program for him. He then meets up with TISA and tells her about his future goals and his endeavors and what he wants to pursue being that director. After 4 months of one-on-one coaching sessions later, Cameron starts to implement his learnings from TISA into his daily work routine. So Cameron starts leading boardroom meetings in a more effective way, as you can see in the middle row, last picture. And even one of his colleagues acknowledges that his communication and sense of ownership in his work drastically got better. So after 3 months of implementing the one-on-one coaching learnings, it's promotion day. He's extremely nervous. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He gets the phone call from his boss, and then his boss tells him that he got promoted to the director position. And he owes all that to TISA's one-on-one coaching. For the second persona, like I said before, this is more of an internal persona. It's going to be new because of the certification/coaching models. So Yuki-sen just graduated, and she's interested in education, mentorship, and leadership. Her goal is to help people be better at what they do while she becomes better at reaching her goals as well. So she looks up entry-level certification programs, and she finds TISA's 3-tier program. Like Jabron was saying earlier, it's a silver, gold, and diamond tier program. And she applies, does the interview, gets accepted, and she starts going through the next 2 months or 2,000 hours allocated to get the actual certification. So after that time period passed, she takes the test and she passes, and now she is TISA's certified silver level executive coach. And because she passed, she starts to have client sessions with TISA and has bits and pieces of aspects of getting more interested into the executive level coaching. So after that, while simultaneously doing the client sessions, she also starts going for the gold certification program, and she realizes that her future is bright with being the executive level coach, thanks to the certification program. So how do we get here? How do we come up with these two personas? How did everything transpire? So how we got to our solution is we worked in an agile fashion. Over the 12-week span, we worked in 6 sprints, and we devised a business model and financial model, and started iterating and creating our implementation plan. So we used the design framework, understanding the problem space, research and planning, did the proof of concept, testing, hypothesis with people, iterating and prototyping, and then testing again, and then outlining the business model. So understanding the problem space, our key activities was obviously meeting with Tissa, understanding what the problem was, brainstorming, and just discussing those main points with her, and just coming to a relatable goal and what we're going to present for her today, and just what she foresees and what she wants out of this project. With that, the tools and frameworks that we used was Asana as our project management tool. We used mirror boards to create all the frameworks, and then just did general research as well. For the research and planning phase, the key aspects is, again, just updates with Tissa. This is when we went more into creating that overall business model and current operations side of the project. And then now we're looking more into the market and competitor landscape, just doing that competitive analysis and understanding the potential overall Capstone solution package once more. For the proof of concept, that's when we started to draft the two models of certification and Tissa as a brand model. We did research and looked up a lot of use cases and did that that initial SWOT analysis and exercise, and we drafted the business model using BMC and CX maps. And also in the proof of concept phase of the project, that's when we did the initial draft of the financial model as well. And I'm going to pass it over to Jabron to talk about the testing, iterating, and business model. Thanks.
Thanks, Amora. So I'll take you through the remaining few sprints. Like most of y'all, we also were working through iterations, and really the last 3 or 4 sprints, we worked hand in hand with Tissa, some of her partners too, to really focus on the business model, working through it to make sure that it made sense for her and would actually be something that they could actualize and realize. With that, we also iterated on the financial model. And then, as you can see over here, we started doing some market surveys to better understand if there really is a feasible market outside that non-executive clientele that Tissa has so dominated. So we worked through that multiple times. And like I mentioned earlier, when I first talked about the business models, this is where we realized that you don't need to have just one or the other business model. You could actually have both. And that's where we actually got the idea of drafting our overall implementation plan or roadmap, which would give Tissa an understanding of, hey, if you're starting with business model, which is a coaching and certification model, these are the activities that you should focus on now. And then as you work through that, eventually in year 2 or year 3, you can start focusing on the Tissa as a brand model. So we had to pivot, we had to persevere and make sure that all of that made sense for Tissa, and it would make sense also with the competitor and market analysis that we did. Lastly, I'll just touch upon the business model piece and outlining the solution. We finalized the business model thanks to the feedback that we got from Tissa and her colleague, and then we also templatized the financial model. It's one thing for us to work through the financial model. We put in a lot of assumptions. We did a lot of research, but we wanted to make it something that Tissa could use. So we templatized it and gave her almost like an interactive Excel model that she could use. And depending on how conservative or aggressive she wants to be with her hiring and price points that she puts in, the financial model would update and work according to that, according to her inputs. Yeah, that's really it, how we iterated through our sprints. Before I close, I'll quickly talk about the roadmap or implementation plan that I've been alluding to this entire presentation. I won't go through it in detail, But essentially, we have a 3-year horizon map, and we kind of call out some of the main activities or milestones that we anticipate TISA to take on once we leave. So starting off on my left-hand side, your right-hand side, we have milestone 1, which really talks about TISA focusing on the coaching certification model, mainly because that requires a lot of time and effort to build it up. She has to design what silver looks like, what diamond and gold look like, what those hours look like, and then also design what the salaries would be, what the benefits would be for these folks that come in and join TISA's ecosystem. I'm sure one of the key points, which I'll also talk about in the key considerations, is you don't want to bring in folks who take from TISA, learn about her clients, learn about what makes her so great, and then leave. So the certification model ensures that people are locked in and they're working through not only improving themselves, but also improving the quality of work that they provide to TISA's clients. And then as you go through that, there's a technology aspect that comes into place, because if a couple people to track their trainings is maybe a little bit of a task, but if you start bringing in more folks in, you'll need a tool to help you with that. And that's where you come to a different milestone where we recommend TISA down select and implement an LMS tool that will help monitor and track the progress a lot of her new coaches are doing and how they're tracking against the silver or gold level or diamond level certification. And that brings us into year 2, where we really start operationalizing it, make sure we conduct interviews to bring in the right people in for the initial cohort, the pilot phase, start those certifications, and then towards the end of year 3, you will have a lot of folks who are silver or gold certified, who not only are working and generating revenue for TISA, but are also doing so with TISA's brand quality in mind, because everything that's been designed has been designed by TISA. So you're scaling, but you're also not losing that quality aspect which TISA was afraid of. And then lastly, we kind of start looking at newer markets. So we know TISA is dominating the executive market. She's working with C-suite folks, but through our research and analysis, we learned that there are middle managers, there are VPs who need that coaching, who want to go up to the next level. So tapping into that market to maximize the revenue would be key. And then also non-traditional markets like social media influencers and other younger folks who are looking for branding, coaching, and communications coaching would be key. Now, with that kind of wraps up the roadmap. I'll quickly talk through some of the key considerations. I won't spend too much time because it's a little bit boring, but anyways. First thing is personal investment. TISA will have to spend some time really figuring out what silver, diamond, and gold look like, essentially because that sets the cadence for the quality that people will be giving towards their clients once they start becoming certified. The other aspect is, in lieu of that, is also talent. So bringing in the right people. It's okay to have folks who don't have any experience, but making sure that the talent that comes in is high caliber and willing to be molded to the way TISA works and work with the models that kind of TISA has seen be successful. And I'll talk a little bit quickly about the independent consulting offering. This refers to the independent contractor model that we had referred to earlier on. The reason why it's key is you have folks that will come in as independent contractors, and it's a beneficial model because it allows for quick revenue generation with very low cost. So what that does is it frees up a lot of liquid cash for TISA to spend on, for example, an LMS implementation or looking into doing more research on the different markets that she wants to tap into. But at the same time, you have flight risk. You have folks who come in, they're not really tied to TISA or TISA's coaching firm, and once they start getting introduced to her clients, they could potentially, after a year or after 6 months, leave. So making sure that that's a risk that she's aware of, and working with her legal team to ensure that they have the right kind of clauses in place and she has kind of rock solid contracts put in place is going to be key. That really sums up our presentation. I just want to quickly say a big thank you, especially to Tamara and Maria. They've been great. They've given us a lot of guidance. And obviously also TISA, she's been fantastic. She's been very patient with us as we're working through all the different iterations. Her feedback was valuable. Without that, we wouldn't be here. And I want to thank you all for listening to us. Thank you.
TISA, can you hear us? Because I know you were having an audio problem. Can you hear us?
Yes, I have to say this was a very impressive experience. I think especially with things, I'm sorry, it's hard because I can't hear you, so thank you for prompting me by text. Yes, so the project and the team. it was really, first of all, overall a really positive experience. And here's what I was particularly impressed by. The things I hadn't even thought about. So being prompted to think about the different models of the business models, even the two models, right? So Tessa as a brand, or kind of the coaching and training model. So being able to go into both those directions, give a lot of research. So that was really useful. The thoroughness and the research that came along with it. The business, or sorry, I should call it the financial model. I told Tamara and Jabron that I'm very bad with numbers, which might surprise you as a CEO. But so the depth and the flexibility that they gave in those models for me, you know, they really created what they call the toggle. So here's on the left, here's sort of the really broad financial model. On the right, there's a lot of plug and play things for different scenarios. So just a lot of depth and flexibility and thoughtfulness about what I might need as the operator of the business, considering that I'm still running it and we're looking forward to think about it. So really impressive about all the different permutations, because we're thinking forward about scale, that were really, really helpful. Even the things of what if these coaches are employees? What if they're contractors? It changes how we would, the cost, the approach. So very thorough, really responsive to the questions I had in the different scenarios. So really impressive and really helpful as I think through, okay, well, how are we going to fund this? What does year 1, year 2 look like? So just a very positive, thoughtful, and helpful process to grow the business into next year and beyond. So I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so sorry I can't hear you guys.
Thank you, Tessa.